And hello, this is Global Blue Ribbon Challenge Week, and Grandma Sparky is here. My real name is Halise Bridges, but everybody calls me Grandma Sparky. I am a bridge builder, and our vision is, and you see this wonderful woman that's in the slide right next to her. She's just looking down at something, but that's who I'm going to interview in just a minute. And I'm going to tell you all about this amazing contribution to our planet. But just to tell you that Blue Ribbons Worldwide, to give you a kind of a vision of what we do, our vision is to unite humanity through the power of love, and to point to what's working instead of what isn't, instead of the punishment model where everybody's talking about what's not working and who's not doing it, and gossip and bullying and all like that. Everything that we do points is a compass to point to standing on the shoulders of each person's greatness, acknowledging what is working in this world, and placing a blue ribbon on people. This blue ribbon that says, and look, Valerie's wearing a ribbon. Oh my God, I love this so much. This blue ribbon that I created 40 years ago, I went up to my kids' teachers and my neighbors, and I told them how much they mattered. And I honored them with the blue ribbon that says, who I am makes a difference. I told them how much of a difference they made. And with their permission, I placed the ribbon above their heart, pointing up toward all their greatest dreams coming true. And I took the spark from my heart and I said, it's tradition for me to take the spark from my heart and put it in your ribbon. It's the sound that makes dreams come true. And the sound is bing. And every time you hear a bing, you know, the child just got their dream. And that decision that I made 40 years ago to bring love to the world, when I was going through a divorce and very depressed, changed me, changed everybody else. And today, over 50 million people in 12 languages have been impacted. Now we're going for 1 billion people to be honored with this ribbon, and shouting out to all the great people in our country and world that are making the world work for all people. And this is one of them. So I want to take this moment to introduce Dr. Valerie Shepard. And you know, the thing to know about Valerie, I'm going to tell you a little bit. I'll read off of her bio. So if you see my eyes going down a little bit, it still works. Okay. And then I'll pop up and we'll talk intimately about our relationship that I have with her. So here's the thing, that she has had a catastrophic stroke, and she's a survivor of that. And she's going to tell you more about how it gets through that and moves us toward a new possibility, because everything that she does as the CEO of the Hartley Center for Mindfulness and Self-Mastery. And I'm just saying that mindfulness and self-mastery are big words for a lot of us. We're still getting into ingesting what that really means. It's not just language, it's the inner soul and how we bring it out and how we be present for everything. So it's we're not just throwing this language out. And when she says that she's the CEO of the Hartley Center for Mindfulness and Self-Mastery, it's because she knows how to help people perform their lives from the inside out using her proprietary, say that word.
Proprietary.
That word. Okay, that word. Okay, it didn't come out. I sometimes get caught up with my teeth. 4-step process and other spiritual principles and practices. And she is an award-winning #1 international best-seller in her book called Living Happy to Be Me, Discovering Your Soul Light. Let's say light style. Is that right? Light style.
Right. You got it, Sparky.
So let me just say more about how Valerie and I know each other and who she is for me and who she will be for all of us in this interview. Valerie and I have been sitting on a steering committee for the past years, okay, called CAYS, Community Alliance for Youth Success. It's founded by Stedman Graham and Bobby D. Porter. And these are world famous people, both of them, and with a vision of how can kids discover their purpose and live their passion. And so we are aligned to that mission and vision. And as the founder of Difference Makers International, did I say Difference Makers International?
You did.
I did. Let me just say that I was founder and of Difference Makers International for about 20 years. And then we morphed into Blue Ribbons Worldwide. So I just want to say we transitioned into that because I wanted 1 billion people being honored, and everybody is in line with that. So I am the founder of Blue Ribbons Worldwide as of the last 5 years. And in the past is the past. So good, I made that correction. But the thing that we have honored ourselves with is the process it takes to bring anything forward. Am I right?
Yes, indeed. And it
Yeah.
can be a process.
It is a process, and you can't, it is not an overnight thing. And every time,
it doesn't necessarily lend itself to shortcuts. And it's, you know, when you got these big visions, the gestation of a big vision, like let's say it's an elephant, right? It's an elephant 22 months to gestate.
Yes.
So when you got 1 billion people vision, in my case, a global vision for post-secondary education transformation, those are they have a gestation period. Things drop in on divine timing, and you as the orchestrator don't have any idea necessarily when that divine timing is going to go bing.
I love that you said that way. There's so, oh gosh, you give me the chills and happiness, because as we navigate an uncharted territory, my great gift is speaking, training, designing the transformation, and honoring people. That I love. Technology, I'm going to be 80 years old, so everybody has to tell me what button to push, you know, and you know that it has me wiring myself differently. Yes.
Yes, and Sparky, you don't have to be 80 years old to have trouble with technology. I fumble around with it a lot. Just to let you know, when I do my live things and the stuff that I do with technology, it still baffles me, and I still think I got it, and then I hit go and I'm like, oh no.
That's right. That's right. And what I have to do, like when we got on there, I went, okay, I'm going to record now. I hit the record, and then I say, and then I do it to the cloud. And I have to slow down, because otherwise I'll get on talking to you for half an hour and realize I just forgot to record.
I've done that. I've had my guests on and forgot to hit record. And
it is. And every little detail, and working with so many different entities and what everybody demands. And, you know, I'm one soul, and I'm
magnificently huge, beautiful one.
It just is. I always say, just stay present, and let me just. I don't get upset at all anymore. I just stay present. I go, well, I say that didn't work. I just screwed up on that, you know, big time. Okay. Oh, that was in the contract. Forgot that one. Oh my gosh, I forgot to do that, you know. I think I'll call them back, and then they'll go, then cut the contract and throw you out because you didn't do it. And I go, well, I'll figure it out in the next, you know. So we just have to keep, you know, being in the game, right? And that's the spirit of not only pioneering, but being, you know, they use the language influencers today, you know, influencers. And I would like to use it. I don't know what, between us before this call is out, I'd like to have another kind of conversation about that. Okay. I don't know why, you know, I think there's another word. I think we are influencers, but I think that the spirit is divine, and it's exponential, and it has no language to it.
So I like the word beacon.
Oh, I love that.
Because
Oh, that gave me the chills.
Yeah,
Same.
I like to plant myself as a beacon for love and light and peace and joy and freedom, emotional freedom, not political, geopolitical freedom. But
Exactly.
you know, that's the thing. I feel like, and I don't mean this to sound as pejorative as it does. I'm really not trying to make anyone bad or wrong. I feel like the word influencers has gotten empty to me. It's become hollow. And I feel like there's a lot of influencing going on around things that aren't serving the planet or even the people who are the audience. And so I like being a beacon of light. And
I
as a
love,
beacon, what I like about the idea of a beacon is that there's a source that is feeding it. And that source is divine, the divine. And
oh my God.
I'm
Oh,
a vessel and a channel and a servant. And as the beacon works for me. It feels like that.
well, how this all comes out, because by the way, this is about as organic a conversation as we never set anything up when I'm on an interview, but something comes through us that needs to be addressed. And I thought, I say that word and I don't call myself that. I don't even know what, Grandma Sparky, you talk about a grandma, you fall in love, if you want to cry, I got, a chest, bosom or whatever you could just drop on me. Right. And here's the thing about you. I want to go back to, you have a lot of talent and genius and background. I'd like to have us understand how you think, what you've been doing, over the years, and then we'll talk about the stroke and how you're getting, what's going on with that. Okay, so let's just start with uh, who have you been all these years? Because we all look to you for that kind of genius that you are.
So thank you. That's a beautiful question. And the thing is, the who have I been all these years was not exactly who I am now. And
Right.
my experience of my life has been a journey of transforming the expression of who I am in that life.
Okay.
And there was a time in my life when I was a superstar athlete at a certain level, as a Division I track and field athlete, conference champion. I was an all-star soccer player. And at those same times, I was also carried a lot of victim energy, felt a lot of resentment and anger against the world, felt like the world was against me because I'm a soul incarnated into a Black body. I had all the conditioning of the ancestors and the dynamics of being Black in a world that really doesn't particularly, or is really systemically bought into a color ladder where
Right.
the Black is the lowest realm and light or white is the highest realm, the highest
Yeah.
rung of the ladder. And
Right.
so I was living in a kind of a mix of quagmire stuff with these poignant highs.
Yes.
And I call them, hollow victories. I would decide that it's something I wanted and I would get it. And then I would go,
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
this,
Wow.
is this all there is?
Yes.
And so I was in that period. And then I got to a period in my, got my master's degree, got in my corporate career, became a vice president. And so there was a little higher vibration going, but it was still a lot of hollow victories where I was doing the things that I thought would make me happy and they didn't. They
Yeah.
did for fleeting periods of excitement and like ego aggrandizement, but not real deep inner lasting happiness. And I hit a point where I wasn't feeling very good about my life. I wasn't understanding, like, why is my life my life? I don't get it. There's nothing specific about this that has to be mine. So what
Yeah.
is it? And I went on a journey, multi-year journey, lots of workshops, courses, books, coaches, spiritual counselors. And I started transforming myself to see how an inner focus on my relationship with myself and how my ideas were creating my world, like the
Sure.
metaphysical quantum physics nature of the world, how if I focused on that, would things change?
Yes.
And they did. And I started creating victories that felt substantive. they didn't look like maybe collective consciousness's idea of success, but for me, they were really beautiful. So, learning about my victim mentality and being
Yeah.
able to unravel it, like
Yeah.
that's not what social consciousness tells you that's where happiness comes from, but that's where it has come from for me.
So wait, slow down for a second. I want to repeat what you just said, okay? Because it's really important. So, as we look to the outside and look to what we're producing, and we keep doing that, and it doesn't fulfill us. I know that for myself as well. But also, give me that last line if you could repeat it. That the soul part of you that really knows.
Yeah. So, for me, part of this journey has been discovering what's on the inside that's not working, what's on the
Yeah.
inside that's holding me back. How am I
Yeah.
in my own way?
Yes.
Get out of my own way.
Yes.
And there's part of the stuff I found, and I write about this in my book. It was a victim mentality, that the world's against me,
Yes.
that I'm not lovable, and that was really related to the color of my skin.
Yeah.
And that's conditioning. And some of that's very true.
Yes.
That dynamic exists out there. And I've experienced it. And that's not the entire truth. That's a piece of it. And so as I got clear on where is this victim mentality coming from and committed to understanding that, understanding it, forgiving it, releasing it, my happiness went up. And social consciousness isn't out there saying, this is how you get happy. But nonetheless, I did it. And that's how I got happy. And that's what's in my book now. And that's what I teach now, because the things that I teach about where does real happiness come from are things like, for me and my students and my my coaching clients, tried and true. This is proven to have worked. And now it's, some of it is the subject of the dissertation that led to my PhD. So, this is the dance I'm in with life is.
Yeah. And I like the dance of life, because for all of us, we want to show up and be respected and appreciated, and loved for who we be, not what we do. But we don't know that, so we do the doing, yeah. And
We are a giant planet of humans doing.
It's a human doing plan. Yeah, you're right. And in my experience, whenever I honored somebody with a ribbon, they'd cry and say, "You're the first person that ever told me I mattered." And it didn't matter whether you were black, white, green, or yellow, all right, or anything else. But fundamentally, the human being, us as a human spirit, has been kind of that punishment, blame, shame model, of looking at what's wrong with you and what's wrong with us, is now we're elevating it. So we're elevating by first going inside and just saying, wait a second, what are the thoughts that I constantly have that are victim, or however I'm looking today, and how can I be present in the moment and see the possibility of who I'm becoming and work into that, work through that.
Yeah.
Is that the happiness that comes out of that is the other side. It's like, whoa, I'm so cool that I can teach other people like you from your life story. Yes.
Yes. And the happiness that comes from, if nobody else on the planet accepts me, I do. And if nobody else on the planet loves me, I do.
I do.
And if nobody else on the planet sees me, hears me, and understands me, I do. I'm willing to be that for myself. And that's what we aren't taught. We're often taught our lives are supposed to be in service to everything else, other people.
Yes.
And people even teach this. If you want to be happy, stop focusing on yourself, go make someone else happy, and that'll make you happy. Well, been there, done that. And it did for a little while. And then when I noticed, okay, but wait a second, in this equation, who's focused on making me happy? And there weren't any people. Nobody was making me happy. And I was focused on making other people happy. So in that kind of story, where's Valerie's opportunity for happiness? So what happened was I was making other people happy and I was becoming resentful. I was working on making other people happy, pleasing other people, giving them what they needed. And I was feeling empty. I was
Right.
doing, I would go on vacation, Sparky,
Yes.
and I would
Yes.
spend hundreds of dollars. I would send postcards from foreign countries. Do you know how much effort that takes? Like when you used to
Yeah.
go to a post office in a foreign country and find a stamp and write a postcard and mail it. That's a lot of energy. Did anybody ever do that for me? Mostly no. I would go buy gifts. I would spend all my time buying gifts. I'd come home, I'd shower everyone with gifts.
Right.
Look, I was thinking about you when I was away. Did anyone ever do that to me? No. And I'm not saying there's a right or wrong here. I'm just saying in the equation of focus on everyone else and sacrifice yourself to be happy. No, thank you. That's not the way it works. And so I teach the exact opposite.
Yeah. And what you're doing, which is so important, it's essential, basically. Um, we teach as teachers, you and I, okay, we've been through that, we know that. And I'll just say something you just taught me, okay? This is very important. Um, we teach a 5-star system. It's called Standing Strong Together. It's a community building leadership training, teaching humanity how to love. And we do this online now. We do it for schools and corporations and organizations. But here's the key that you just taught me. The first point of the star, this came from my life. This is equal to you. And then I'm going to tell you why the first star point, it works, how you spoke it so brilliantly. The first star, when I said it, the first point of the 5 stars was to acknowledge the worth of self. I didn't realize that at the beginning. The second point was then I could acknowledge the worth of others. The third is from there I could build trust with compassion and love. The fourth point of the star was that I would have a voice to say what I needed to say and talk about my dreams and get it empowered and supported. And the fifth point was to be able to make a difference in my community, country, and world. This was my foundation of the 5-star foundation for advancing human potential. What you just did and gave me the chills, thank you, because I had to stand back. It took a long years for me to come and see what it was that I was going through. Because, service to others and all that was natural for me.
Right.
And for us, people like us, and to serve, but what about me? And then I went, but I don't even know who I am. And I'm still unwinding that. But here's what you just did. And I got the chills, by the way. Is one thing is that no matter what's going on out there, I love myself. Now, I've seen that before. It's not new. I love myself, but it was why you said it. I heard it differently. I heard it like the way I know you well enough to know, and we'll talk about the stroke because it's important to know this, that no matter what is occurring, no matter what, when I know you put your arms around yourself and say, if one person loves me, if nobody does, if they give me a postcard or they don't, right? I now know intrinsically that my life matters, that I love myself. And I had to shudder in that because, I'm still doing that right now. Because I don't think I pause enough to do that with myself.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to meet the needs of all of what the billion people to be honored is. And
Yeah.
I get the acknowledgement, I do, I get the shout outs, but how do I take it in? Because the next thing that comes about is the very thing I don't know how to do yet.
Now, how do we bask in it?
Exactly.
The reason I have self-mastery in the company name is because my worldview is that the only way we master anything going on in the world, whether it's technology or divisiveness in human on human relationships, or whether it's climate change and dynamics with healing the Mother Earth, whether it's what are we doing with nature or whatever those dynamics are. I mean, we live in a VUCA world too, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity. That is all over the place in our world today.
Absolutely. Yes.
So no matter how that changes, gets better or worse, the constant is wherever I go, there I am. That's Confucius, not Valerie. Wherever you go, there you are. So the common denominator is me. So if I want to feel love and be love everywhere I go, everywhere I plant this beacon of light, I have to first start with training myself to give it to myself.
Yes.
Be self-sufficient, to be a sovereign being that I came here to be. I've got to give myself those things that I believe that I need. And self-mastery is a part of understanding, that's what I need and deserve and desire. And B, there's nothing wrong with it. It's not bad or wrong to be selfish. There's a way to be healthy and responsibly selfish that is not narcissism and that does feed the planet with love and energizes the planet with personal responsibility. And when we have more of those things going around, I believe all of those other problems get solved at a higher vibration. The different answers and solutions are able to be understood because the people trying to solve the problems have lifted their consciousness. Like, wasn't it Einstein who said you cannot solve a problem with the same consciousness that created it? And I think a lot of people say that quote without having an idea about what he really meant, which was you have to change you to be able to see the problem from a different vantage point and therefore the answers that are wanting to be heard.
So let me just say this. So while we're, I'm thinking for a moment for a coffee pot for a second. I don't know why. And the drip, 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 you put the grounds in, but without the water and the drip, drip, drip. And then you wait when the coffee pot, when is it going to get finished? When is it going to get finished, right? Because we're in like the real, how fast can you get stuff done nowadays?
Instantaneous gratification.
Instant gratification. And this is not that. This is what you just said is, and self-mastery is interesting. It's what Gandhi says, you must be the change you wish to see in the world. And I went, yeah, easy for you to say. I used to say to myself when I read that quote. But here's what I'm deliciously drinking the coffee with you, okay? Because, we dripped enough, to over the years to be able to see where we are. Like I just noticed, when you're talking, I go, wait a second, I can see where I'm at and there's more to go. And there's always that, yes?
Always.
There's the unfolding of whatever's next. Can't see it now. People could tell me till I'm blue and whatever in the face thing. And then all of a sudden it's like, 6 months later, 10 years later, oh yeah, I get it now. I want to say something about the last few moments that we have together. And that is, how long ago did you have the stroke? And then what happened at that time? And then what have you been doing along the way you're a stroke survivor, but you're a thriver. There's something great about you. I've been walking with you through the thick and thin of those days. Okay.
Yes.
And you're the athlete in you and the perseverant, that person. Tell me more about the ups and downs of or highs and lows or whatever you want to say about that we can share with others so that if they're going through things.
Sure. The going through things is a natural part of life. And I think we're sold a bill of goods when we think it's all going to be rosy and peachy keen and just do this next thing. Well, then it's all done. It's not. It's a never ending journey of self-actualization, like the highest thing on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And self-mastery, my definition is mastering you in your life so that you can exquisitely manage whatever your life brings your way. No, everybody doesn't need a dark night of the soul. Everybody doesn't need to have a stroke or cancer or something horrible happen in order for them to reach their highest potential.
Sure.
And the whole, the stroke for me was 6 years ago. It came out of nowhere. It was a hemorrhagic stroke, which means a blood vessel burst in my brain. And they're only about 15% of all strokes. Most strokes are ischemic, not hemorrhagic. And this hemorrhagic strokes typically result in death. Um, People die, people never wake up, people have all kinds of stuff. When I woke up, I was in a coma for 3 days. When I woke up, I couldn't walk. I had to teach myself a whole bunch of stuff. In that 6 years, I still see physical therapists. I'm going to see them tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
It's called restorative physical therapy. We work on mostly trying to gain every little ounce of ability I can get back in my, like, you notice that it was over here in this part of my brain. And so the left brain controls the right side of the body. So I have a whole lot of stroke effects still going on the right side of the body. I still have fatigue. There's a lot happening. Like even right now, it feels like I'm drooling. My face, ever since the stroke, I've always felt like I'm drooling. So I constantly am checking. I never have, but that's what it is.
Right.
What gets me through is the stuff that I teach. That number one, I had gotten so ego caught up in ability status, my
Right.
body and my
Right.
physicality and my physical
Right.
ability. And to actually go through the journey of releasing the idea that my value has something to do with my body and the way it works and the way
Yeah.
it looks.
Right.
So it gave me a beautiful opportunity to come face to face with that, like confront that idea of myself that wasn't really serving me. I still dream of wearing my sexy shoes. I wear flats most of the time. And so, there's still upside potential. And I still fully believe that I have 100% of an opportunity to get 100% healing. It's just not, I just don't wait for that. And the fact that I don't have that yet is not a reason to not be happy in this moment.
Yes.
And I go through ups and downs. I've gone through periods like, for the first 2 years, I didn't even realize subconsciously that I was angry at my body, that I felt like my body had betrayed me, that it had let me down, that I ate right and I meditated. I was very spiritual and I did all this work. I was about to launch my book. We delayed my book launch by a year because of the stroke. I had started teaching my curriculum, that is what my dissertation's written on. All these things were going good. And then boom, get knocked down. And so I had to confront this idea that my body was my enemy. I had to like, where did that come from? What do I really think my body's for?
Right.
And how am I living? Like, it's really giving me an opportunity. I think the story here that you're asking, Sparky, is that our lives are speaking to us 24/7, 365. You cannot get away from it. The question is, are you awake and are you discerning? Like, are you noticing that thing that happened between you and your mom, or between you and your boss, or between you and your neighbor is actually about you, and is actually giving you an opportunity to say, why do I think that way? Why do I respond that way or react that way? Why don't I, like, an opportunity for you to do what my favorite quote says. My favorite quote is, as long as you live, keep learning how to live. It's a quote.
Oh, I love that. Oh, I love that. I want to just say something so dear to you and to everybody else. I mean, this is really dear. I mean, when Community Alliance Youth Success launched a big thing at one of the hospitals here in San Diego, which was a year or two ago, I don't even remember now. And we were walking back to our cars. I get the chills right now because you were talking about the stroke and we were talking about your health right at that moment. And when you're in the pain of it, when there's pain and then there's privilege, and then you walk with somebody like you who is like, got it, know it, want to just feel it, express it, and hold the vision, which is really, we're just walking to our cars. And we're knowing that this is true, but we're all, each of us learning from each other, yes?
Yes.
Constantly learning from each other. And the priceless thing in a moment, we're going to be finishing up in a moment, but I'm going to honor you with the blue ribbon. But I want to ask you that you said something about, I think we talked about hollow victories, correct?
Yes.
About that and about your your expertise in an area, in your areas of expertise. But I want to ask you this, and it's not in your questions here that I asked you to pose me. But one of the things that I wanted to say is you're very strategic in the way you think.
Yes.
And that's because you've had a certain background as what, vice president of something or another. This
Yeah.
is some giant company. Am I right?
Yes.
So I just want to lay that out because I know you to be the person that could see the big picture and that's just nail it like railroad tracks. Okay. And yet the way in which you speak it is not authoritative. It's divinity.
Thank you.
And I wanted to say that because I hadn't had a chance to say that. And I think I'm certainly in awe of that ability that you have of listening to everybody and just saying, okay. And then I offer this.
Yes.
And it comes with a sweet energy that just empowers all of us rather than, oh, I didn't know how to do that. It's, it's just like that. So I wanted you to say a little bit about how it is that, was that always natural for you or was that something that you learned?
So I'm tickled that you think that I don't sound authoritarian, because I will say this, my journey in this lifetime has involved a lot of recognition of some things that I hear from people in terms of feedback. And one of the most poignant, and in some, depending on how it's delivered, I've felt it as hurtful and harmful and saddening. And I've also heard it as just neutral. Okay, here's something for me to work on in this idea of as long as I live, keep learning how to live. And that is, you're intimidating. Your energy is so big that when you really get it, like the dog with a bone kind of, I want people to understand this, you kind of bowl people over and you're intimidating. And so that's been a hard one for me to chew on, because that's not my mission. That's not my vision. That's not my purpose. Yes. I will say that from my father's, the military culture that's in our several generations of our family, that there is this drill sergeant nature that I've been working on toning down and putting more love in, which is the drill sergeant in the military is the first one you meet when you're going to boot camp. Sure. And the whole idea of the drill sergeant is to tear down the stuff in you that gets in your way from your brilliance showing, and then pushing you to express your brilliance at the highest levels, no matter what's going on around you. And in some cases, in deadly situations that are going on around you. That's the drill sergeant. My dad was one. Yes. And so for me, it's like, there's a part of me that just wants what I want for these people that I work with. And a lot of them are post-secondary education. I love working with young adults, emerging adults, 18 to 25. And so I'm like, oh, come on, get on the bandwagon, figure it out, look at yourself, be willing to question, be curious. And so, but I can be so full of it that it can come across as too much for some people. Yeah. And so, yes, Sparky, what I will say is my journey with that has been to turn it on its ear so that it's much more sweet, loving, and soft energy around empowering people, and less of a, kick in the butt around empowerment. So yeah. I'm grateful that you are not feeling it.
No, and that in the context of our steering committee and what we do, we're all listening to each other, and literally, because we have not produced, this is a new product, Discover Your Purpose through K's, and bringing it into our educational system. And we've been doing this for 10 years. This is not overnight. Right. And I mean, every step of the way has been like probing and pushing and all, but we're all dealing with each other. It's expertise. And then at the end of the day, we go, well, that was done. And then we get on the call again, and it seems like we tend to rehash or go through, but we're trying to figure the sucker out. Mostly, we're just a bunch of people that came together with assets, but primarily we're really developing our inner self mastery to be with everybody with love. That is fascinating, especially with the drill stars and, that mentality, or anybody around. My father was different. He would sit me down and say, tell me what the problem is. And I would. And then he'd say, and how would you resolve that? And I would tell him. And they'd say, and how else would you resolve that? And I would tell him. And he'd go on like that until he got the answer he wanted. And he'd go, that's good. And I go, okay. And I'd leave and I'd feel like, wow. And I didn't even realize what he did until I was much older. Yes. What we're saying is right now, and you have strategy, you have like that, but the way in which you bring it into us, and of course we're a different group. We're high level people. We've been there, done it, and there's nothing that we cannot say to each other. And it comes from love, and we make each other right all the time. I mean, we really do. We just go, yeah, that's a good idea, or let's park that for a while. And that's, I'm glad you mentioned that. Let's put a pin in that and put it in the parking lot, right? So I want to just say, what you do is what I have a blue ribbon for you, Valerie. Dr. Valerie Shepherd, I have a blue ribbon for you. And honestly, I was really looking forward to this because we've spoken intimately from time to time. And mostly I'll reach out and ask you for, some support and help. And you've always given it to me. You've always given it to me generously. But more than even that, you walk your talk. You take responsibility for the language that you use, for the feelings that you have, and you're able to listen and just listen, and not put upon your knowledge and that anxiety so somebody can get it, even though we want them to get it. We're like, pull back the reins because we need to all breathe together. Yes.
Yes, and everybody's on their own path, and I don't get to dictate how quickly or slowly or right or left or up or down that they get something for their own highest good. That's not up to me.
It's not you, and it's not, and I embrace everybody who I hang with and who I work with and who serve me, and I serve them. And I only can go with where they're at and what we're going to do, just no matter what. No matter what, everybody's got a life and everybody gets to do what they do, but you are living your purpose. You are you are the integrity of self-mastery.